Hi, I'm Aurora Iler, and I'm the writer of the My Inheritance feature film. I started writing My Inheritance when I was 13. It follows two teens as they share everything together: their childhood, their dreams, their plans for the future, and their grief. Like most best friends and teens, they do not expect to lose each other. But then some turmoil strikes, a new person enters their life, and their friendship they thought was unbreakable begins to show some cracks. When I first started writing the film, I thought it was just a story about friendship. But as I've gotten older, I've realised it's about the things we inherit without ever choosing to. The things that are ingrained in our brain from childhood that we've never really questioned. In my films, I love to examine the parts of life we accept as normal because it's all we've ever known. I love telling stories that can change people's perspective on things, or even make them self-reflect. When I was 11, I made Melonhead, which was a film about helmet safety. And then at 12, I made Grape, which is an internationally award-winning short film, which is now being used in 1,700 Australian schools. Neither of these films were about telling people what to do. In fact, they were about giving people insight about other people's lives so that they can make the right decision for themselves. That's what I'm trying to do with My Inheritance. I'm trying to tell people a story about teenagers, which is relatable and fun. Over the years, I've heard countless stories that I could use as examples with you now, about relationships like the ones in My Inheritance. But they're not my stories to tell. And I'm sure that everyone has a story. Stories about toxic relationships and manipulation, about families being torn apart, or stories that people realize the warning signs and red flags years later. Those experiences belong to the people who lived them, but those experiences highlighted the harmful patterns hidden in plain sight often, and so they made me ask myself some questions. Why do some behaviours feel normal when they're actually harmful? How much of what we accept comes from what we've grown up seeing? And how often do we mistake control for care? And what's familiar with what's harmful? I built My Inheritance off these very questions. And as I've grown older, so has the story. The characters have become more complex, the relationships have become more honest, and the entire film has become more real. Every year that I've spent developing this film has strengthened my belief that it needs to be made, because the issue has not gone away. Through developing this film and seeing people's live responses to Grape, I've realised that facts can't reach people the same way that film can. So, as a creator, that's what I hope to do. I don't have easy answers for you. I'm just here to encourage people to take a closer look at the relationships around them, the influences they've grown up with, and start questioning things. Start questioning why. I've not created a unique issue for this film. I'm making a film that takes you with the characters and shows you what happens behind closed doors. Because sometimes the most important stories aren't the things that teach us something new, but are the ones that make us question and look around and see the things that were there all along, but with a new set of eyes. And that's why My Inheritance has stayed with me all these years. Because in order for change to happen for a quiet issue, we all need to be louder. And we do want change, right?